Hey everybody, Chris here. Dogecoin is becoming what Bitcoin was meant to be. What do I mean by that? I'm going to talk about that in this video. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel, hit that little notification bell too. You can be notified when my videos come out, as well as when I do live streams. And I know the Dogecoin price is down right now and everyone's all worried about the price, but there's a bigger thing happening with Bitcoin driving the whole crypto market down, and the future of Bitcoin is not really as a digital currency. So that is why my thesis about Dogecoin is so important, why I really talk more about Dogecoin than Bitcoin here on this channel. But Bitcoin is still the big daddy, and it drives the overall market of cryptocurrencies. So I know people get all upset about the price of Doge. I talk about that too, because that's how people kind of view Dogecoin. But there's a bigger thing going on, so let's get into it. Let me show you the charts in the news. I'll show you what I'm looking at. And we start here looking at the current Dogecoin price, because that's how I begin these things. 14.4 cents. There has been a pullback overnight. The price of Dogecoin, and it's following Bitcoin. Bitcoin had this pullback too. I still think Bitcoin's coming down to the $90,000 level here, which I cover in my live streams. We look at the heat maps, we look at the liquidations, because when the markets are slow and there's not a lot of good sentiment, not a lot of buying going on, volume really low, the market makers take over and can push the price down. So we cover all of that with the price movement and all of that behind it. And I've covered that in a lot of other videos right now. But again, people relate more to cryptocurrency through its price versus utility, or is it really utility that's important? So we're going to talk about that. We start with Bitcoin's drawdown triggered the largest spike in realized losses since the FTX collapse in late 2022. So we go back to November of 2022 with the big drop in the price of Bitcoin when FTX collapsed. That was the bottom of the last bear market. Bitcoin went all the way to a price of about $15,600, and you see this big spike in realized loss. So that's long-term holders over short-time holders, right? Huge loss. I mean, the only people really in profit at that time were the ones that bought before 2021. So everybody who bought in 2021, 2022, when that November hit and that big drop, most were in a loss. Well, of course, what did Bitcoin do then? Bitcoin recovered and the price continued to grind up. New all-time high before the Bitcoin ETFs. We'll talk about that also in relation to the Doge ETFs. And from that point, Bitcoin kind of stabilized, went sideways, and then went on the rest of its bull run up until a new all-time high of 126,200 that we had in early October 2025. Well, now with this drawdown, a huge spike in the percentage of Bitcoin wallets that are in a loss. That's because there was so much buying up here, over 100K, that when Bitcoin dropped down to 80,000 here, we saw that spike. So that is the state of Bitcoin. Why is there's so much buying here? Why didn't Bitcoin keep going up? Well, that's what we talk about during the live streams with the exchanges and the market makers and all of the leverage trading, because that is what is really been driving the price in crypto for so long. Look, we look at the ETFs. So this is the BlackRock ETF. And so from early 2024, once there was sort of that initial up and down, we had a lot of inflows. Weekly net flows were positive into this Bitcoin ETF. Early in 2025, we had the fear of tariffs brought the whole market down, and then we had those first big outflows from the ETF. But price started to recover with Bitcoin price going up. We saw positivity in the ETFs for the most part until when? Early October, right? Early October. People buying, the ETF as Bitcoin went up $125,000, $126,000. And then we had the October 10th flash crash. I cover all of that as well in detail. Back then, October 11th and 12th, I went into all the detail of what was behind that crash and what has happened since then. Bitcoin price goes down and we get selling, major outflows out of the ETF. So, I mean, that's what's happening with Bitcoin. Now, what is this whole thing? Well, yesterday during the live stream, I talked about this, and I'm going to talk about it again here because this is important. We've got this guy, Larry Fink. Larry Fink is the head of BlackRock. And the other day, he was talking about these comments about what's wrong about Bitcoin and crypto, because he had to shift his opinion from everything about Bitcoin that he despised, but now he's all supports it. And he says he was wrong. Well, why is BlackRock wrong about Bitcoin? Before, because they were just looking at it as a transactional currency and said, yeah, we don't think this is really going to happen. But now it's this big investment vehicle. And now BlackRock is making a lot of money off it. And so Larry's like behind it. I mean, look at this. Bitcoin ETFs have been the most successful ETF launch ever. BlackRock is making a ton of money off these ETFs, exchange-traded funds. But then we also have, what else is going on? The biggest banks have started accepting or will be accepting Bitcoin as collateral. Bitcoin credit products have been a wild success. Thanks to MicroStrategy, what are they doing, right? They're creating all of these like preferred stocks and other things off the main MSTR in order to raise money to buy more Bitcoin. Bitcoin real estate funds are about to hit the market. Bitcoin treasury companies, this new category. We'll talk about Metaplanet in just a minute as well and what's going on. So what is Bitcoin now? None of this talks about Bitcoin as a transactional currency. Now, I know like BTC Isla and other things are sort of happening to try and encourage using Bitcoin for transactions, but that's not where the big money is. The big money is in this. Again, exchange-traded funds, banks, collateral, credit products, real estate funds, treasury companies. This is what Bitcoin is now. It's not a transactional currency, right? The big boys have moved in, they're taken over. Everyone thought, oh, institutions, right? The institutions are going to help Bitcoin. They aren't. They aren't helping Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency, right? They just all want to make money off it because Bitcoin has been the most successful asset in price gains over percentage-wise over the last 10, 12 years. It has been Bitcoin. Now, Dogecoin has also had great price appreciation over the last 10 years, and it's actually outperformed Bitcoin, as I've shown many times, but people don't want to pay attention to that, though, because Dogecoin's supposed to be this big joke, right? Well, actually, Dogecoin is built off generally the same blockchain design as Bitcoin, and has a few key things that are different that actually help make it a transactional currency better than Bitcoin. That's why Elon Musk likes it, right? And he's talked about that before. But that's the big thing about Doge people don't get. Because look, here's Metaplanet. Metaplanet raised $50 million this week using Bitcoin as collateral. So they're using Bitcoin as collateral to buy more Bitcoin, right? Treasury company. They just want to hodl it. They want to hoard it because they think Bitcoin's going to go back into a big bull run, 200K, 500K, $1 million of Bitcoin. So they're just all loading up for that. That's what Bitcoin is now. Eric Trump says Bitcoin is a better investment than real estate. It's like, really? Well, the exchanges and market makers are going to continue to battle all the leverage trading that people are doing in terms of Bitcoin, but most of them, like that, they're just buying and hodling. Bitcoin history repeats for those who DCA, right? Where are people buying? 2018 bear market bottom. We had the COVID crash, right? People buying there. We had the wick in 2022 we just talked about. Like, Well, that was the 18K wick. That was after Luna and the big crash following Luna into Celsius and Voyager and all those others. And then we had the FTX crash down to 15.6. And here we are again, crashing again. Actually hit 80,000, like 600 or so on the dip. Is this going to keep coming down, or is this going to recover up? I mean, that's the price of Bitcoin. That's what's going on. Let's talk about Dogecoin. Dogecoin whales buy 480 million Doge, sparking price speculation. There have been heavy whales involved in Dogecoin since 2014. There are a lot of people who do own a ton of Dogecoin, but the biggest holders, and those that we look at on the Dogecoin, top 100 rich list, are mostly the exchanges. The exchanges have big blocks of Dogecoin that they use as liquidity on the exchange, as well as those that hold Dogecoin on exchange, which is still a large percentage of Dogecoin holders. They don't self-custody, they just hold on exchanges. So that's still a big part of Dogecoin, and we talk about that. But I talk about this. And this is something I made a couple of years ago, which was the Dogecoin white paper. You know the Bitcoin white paper. Have you ever read the Bitcoin white paper? Do you know what the Bitcoin white paper talks about? You should read it sometime. Just Google it, and there's a PDF file. You can download it, and you can read it. None of the Bitcoin white paper talks about using it as collateral to buy more, right? They don't talk about ETFs, right? The Bitcoin white paper doesn't talk about the banks. The Bitcoin white paper doesn't talk about credit products or real estate funds, treasury company, all of that. That is not what the Bitcoin white paper is about. It's about a transactional currency, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And so I just crossed out Bitcoin. I put Dogecoin in, right? And I crossed out the Bitcoin website, and I put in the Dogecoin website, put a little Doge on there and the Dogecoin, right? Because this is what, just replace the word Bitcoin with Dogecoin, and it's almost the exact same thing. The only difference being, right, there's not a 21 million cap, right? Dogecoin is free to continue to add more Dogecoin over time as for payments, right? As a transactional currency, as money. And the inflation of Doge is far, far less than money, right? Than fiat, right? That is truly what is uncapped, right? Is the money, which is why we have inflation and all of that. Look, Doge, a meme brand, real money ambitions. Dogecoin sits between legendary internet meme and emerging payment network, backed by one of the largest communities in crypto. So the price, we talk about the price, right? This was a few weeks ago when it was 19 cents. No token unlock risk, right? We have with other cryptos, right, that are unlocking, and we see what happened. But the supply is determined by ongoing proof of work block rewards, not vesting schedules. Yes, there is a fixed inflation of Dogecoin. 5 billion per year. And you say, oh, it's so many, right? That's so many Doge, right? Price is never going to go up. Well, once Dogecoin continues to be adopted, the price will find a level that's probably higher than it is now. And if you want to be part of the Dogecoin community, you have to understand this and know this. This is important. It has a huge social footprint. Elon Musk amplifies it. He has before, will he again? Right? A decade of memes give Doge an unmatched brand strength. People recognize the Doge. On-chain metrics show rising activity, more addresses, large whale flows. So all of that is happening with Doge. Are there growing corporate holdings? Yeah, I mean, on the backs of Bitcoin, there are some Dogecoin treasury companies now and the ETFs. And even when the Dogecoin ETF started, I questioned it. I was like, do we really want this, right? I'm not just saying that now that they're out and they're not really being bought. I was saying this a year ago when the ETFs were first being thought of and discussed. I was like, do we really want that for Dogecoin? I've been saying that. Dogecoin is better than fiat currencies, right? We've shown this before. We can transact directly with Dogecoin at any time, any day, all around the world with a minimum network fee, supported by Doge miners who validate the transactions on the blockchain. Banks close on the weekends. International
Fiat payments are slow and expensive, but not Doge. An open, peer-to-peer, secure, instant network, minimal fees. That's the beauty of Dogecoin. Now, this will continue to grow as adoption grows. It's going to take a while, though. We have Doge OS, right? Doge OS is coming, an app layer built on. Because people always, oh, Doge has no utility. The whole thing about a transactional currency is slowly growing. Dogecoin slowly is being adopted. Too slow for a lot of people. People are going to come in, though, like this Doge OS team, and they're gonna build more utility on it, right? So there's NFTs. There's going to be like meme tokens that are going to be launching off of this on a non-coin, right? They're doing that thing, right? All of that is happening, which I think sort of like goes against the ethos of Doge, but I get why people do it, and they want to have fun with it. So great, right? There's this new NFT collection on Doge OS with these like cereal boxes, right? NFTs. So NFTs are starting to come back a little bit. So great. They can have their fun with that. And the Dogecoin blockchain can support these kinds of things. So, okay, that'll be part of it. But really, to me, it's like X money. Now, X money still says launching in 2025, right? We look at this website in every live stream because it still says launching in 2025 for X money. But X money is not going to have Dogecoin when it first launches. They've got money transmitter license. They just got another one, another state they just got in Vermont. So that's added to another. But that's not, it's really going to be this, right? It's really going to be this. This is what Elon Musk said back in 2022 when he first bought Twitter. And he and his development team were talking about things that should, ideas that the way they could make Twitter better. And here's one of the things he said.
They are annoying everyone who's not going to be a subscriber. So there's got to be some way to solve that.
Insert a quarter.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
Twitter,
I'll
put a
pay
couple Doge.
10 cents for this article or something.
Ooh,
Exactly.
I like that.
One Dogecoin for this article.
Yeah.
One Dogecoin for this article. So he's already thinking like, I could actually use Dogecoin, right, to pay for things like if there are articles that want to have a paid feature, it could just be a Doge, right? Dogecoin could be used. He said that, right? So he's already thinking that. Now, the whole underlying structure on X of how Dogecoin could actually be used, that's another problem that needs to be solved. It's easier to use fiat first. We think X money's coming soon, the X payments thing. Well, he was already thinking about Doge then. So that's a thing that's still out there. And then we go back to like 2020 when Elon was just saying it's inevitable that Dogecoin standard will take over the global financial system. That's a much bigger thing, but it makes for a fun meme, right? And it's just like, but like Elon says, right? It's just like, what's inevitable, right? It's this kind of the joke behind it. We go back to Dogecoin and the current price, and I get it, right? The price is down. It's being suppressed, right? The market makers, the exchanges don't want the leverage traders, right, to win. And so they're still going to or manage the price. They're going to bring the price down when they want to. Eventually, there's going to be a bull run again. The price will go back up. Maybe Dogecoin leads that when X money launches. So there's going to be a big price appreciation, and Doge is going to lead the way, which it had before back in 2021. We could see that again. But for all this comes back to my belief that Dogecoin is what Bitcoin was meant to be. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think about that? Give the video a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. I appreciate the support. We'll see you next time.